Okay, hello, welcome everybody to a taste of Talk to the Entities. What I find is a lot of people are curious and intrigued about this class, Talk to the Entities, and they also might have a bit of trepidation, reluctance to step in because of, oh, who knows, points of view, fear, thinking it's weird. But it's actually not weird. It's what is, you know? And the tools of Talk to the Entities makes it so practical to handle the issues that become issues from people avoiding the subject and rejecting their awareness around it. So, oops, I should back up and introduce myself. I always forget to do that. I just jump right in and go. So for those of you listening in the future, because only a few people could make it on now, thank you so much. My name is Julie Tewton, and I'm an Access Consciousness Certified Facilitator and Talk to the Entities Facilitator. And it actually took me 18 years before I chose to become a Talk to the Entities Facilitator. So I understand the reluctance. I always took the classes. I took the classes before Shannon actually formally created it as a specialty series because I thought it was cool. I was always curious and interested in the magical realm of spirits and things mostly unseen. And I played a lot with that as a child. How many of you went into the forest and played with fairies and created, made up games, supposedly made up with invisible friends? And, you grow up a little bit and your parents tell you it's not real. And so you lock that stuff away. But a lot of it can come back, because those are actually abilities and you are actually playing with and creating with other kinds of spirits and entities that aren't, quote, normal, like people. If you've ever, I remember playing with a friend of mine who lived next door, and we were looking at flowers, and I was going to pick one of the flowers, and she stopped me and she said, "You have to ask the plant if it's okay if you pick that one." And I was like, oh, wow, what a great idea. It's so honoring of the plant. And so I would say, is it okay if I pick you? And this won't hurt. And I would do that every time I ever picked a flower or was pruning something, all the way till now. Even when I have my orchids, which I have many of them around, if I pull off a dead piece, or I ask it, do you need water? Do you want to be here? Do you want to be over there? Or when I go to the store and buy one, I ask it and I give it a picture. Do you want to be in my house over in this location? And I choose the one that actually wants to be there. So there's this way of communicating with things beyond people. Usually people only extend it to their pets. They'll communicate with their pets. But what if everything has consciousness? And what if you can communicate with and receive from other kinds of entities? And so Talk to the Entities is this amazing class with all kinds of tools and breadth and depth of how to handle communicating with, clearing, receiving from, and cooperating with entities of all kinds. Most people think of entities as, your family members that have passed on, or somebody haunting an old house. But there's so much more to the spirit kingdom, just like in this reality, there's this whole kingdom of, amoeba and like paramecium and all these like little tiny cells and bacteria and stuff, all the way up to mammals and people. And it's really cool to actually dive in and learn about these other about this other kingdom that is mostly unseen. Just because it's unseen doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Just because you don't see bacteria or microorganisms doesn't mean they don't exist. And so when you dive in and start learning about it and start getting these practical tools so that you can use to facilitate more ease in your life, it actually adds so much more to your life that you can even imagine. And that is probably why you have a curiosity about this, because you know that there's something to it. You just don't know what it is yet. And a lot of times when we have a curiosity about something, it's because we have a capacity in that area that we haven't explored yet. I mean, you see a picture of Hawaii or, some beautiful waterfall or some woods that have like this enchantment to it. And you're like, ooh, what's that? And you want to go into it. You want to explore it. There are things there that can add to your life, add to your living, add to your joy, add to your peace. And it's the same thing with this course, Talk to the Entities, in a strange way, because it opens up all kinds of abilities and capacities and access to peace and joy and receiving in a way that you cannot get to without it. And that's a big statement. But, if we are to get the full extent of living on and with this planet, we need to include everything without judgment. We cannot block things out of our awareness because we don't like them or because we think it's scary. We only become the effect of it in that case. So I invite you to follow your curiosity. Ask some questions. Would choosing the beginning class open up more of your capacities in that area? Would it open up more joy? Would it open up more possibilities? And if you just get a lightness, then it's true for you. If you get a heaviness, it's not true for you, and no problem. Don't do it. I dare you to not ever look at this.
Hey, Julie, that's question. Can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
So is this like going to be like a seance? Are you going to be calling on weird things or what would we expect in this class?
It's not a seance. No, it's stepping you through the foundational tools of being able to, like, the beginning class is mostly about clearing and a bit about communicating and a bit about receiving from spirits. And there's a lot of tools to help you clear your fear or doubt around your ability to communicate with the spirit world and give you tools to move past all of that, as well as some exercises in lowering your barriers and starting to go there together as a group with me, facilitating the inviting in the awareness of spirits that are around you with your teammates and starting to get a sense of what it would be like to play with them instead of avoid them. And
Teammates?
what?
Teammates? I don't know what you're talking about. That's weird.
Thank you. Well, a lot of people talk about angels, guardian angels, and that puts a certain amount of significance on it. And usually when we put significance on something, we make it greater than us. And so Shannon really makes this a flat playing field where nothing is greater than you. Even if it doesn't have a body, it doesn't mean that it knows more than you or it's greater than you in any way. And so she likes to call the beings that are around us that want to help us in this life our teammates. Makes it more fun, makes it more playful. And you are the one still choosing. It's not like they tell you what to do or where to go or what to be. It's more a support system that you get to ask to contribute to what it is that you want to do.
You've mentioned Shannon a couple of times. Who is Shannon?
You're very good at asking me questions. Thank you. Shannon O'Hara is the founder of Talk to the Entities program. It's an access consciousness specialty. And she is the stepdaughter of Gary Douglas, who is the founder of Access Consciousness. And I think she was about 12 when he started creating Access Consciousness. But she has had abilities seeing and communicating with entities her whole life. And for a long time, she avoided it, resisted it, shoved it away. And it basically made her paranoid and suicidal. And she did all kinds of drugs to try to avoid it and not step into the weird capacities of being able to communicate with entities. And at a certain point, I think she went to Gary and she was just like super unhappy. And he's like, well, what are you avoiding? Who are you avoiding talking to? And she's like, oh, darn. And so she basically said she started facilitating people and intro classes of Talk to the Entities simply because it made her feel better. And as it opened up that capacity in her, she's gone further and further into discovering more and more tools and more ways to help other people get out of that discomfort also. Because a lot of times when you feel paranoia, it's because there's entities present and you're not necessarily paying attention to it. But if you lowered your barriers and you use the tools to communicate, you might find that it clears up really quickly. A lot of aches, pains, chatter in your head can be entity awareness. Sometimes I get like this pressing down on my head if I'm not paying attention and asking questions. Sometimes you get like neck pain. Sometimes people, let's see, like there's so many different entity telltale signs. Have you ever walked in a neighborhood and found a house that seemed really gloomy and dark and it sort of felt creepy and it made your hair on your arms stick up? That's usually an awareness of entities. And not all entities are going to be weird and creepy. Some are really light and expansive and like amazingly joyful. There's the whole realm, just like people. There are mean people, there are kind people, there's the whole gamut. And this is true of the spirit kingdom as well. Who else has a question? Anyone? You can unmute if you like.
Hello.
Hi.
So I have a question. Well, one of the ways entities show up to me when I'm not wanting to listen is like I'll get this real buzz in my ear, like they're in my ear talking way too loud so I can't understand them. So I've really appreciated moving them out of the room or having them back off and being able to have them communicate from outside of my space. So one of my questions is how to make it easier on my body. So I'm understanding that the resisting actually makes it worse. So that was a big clue. But I just like other ways that, could make my, interest and commitment to continuing to expand the ways that I already communicate with entities easier, with more ease.
Yeah, well, it comes with practice, but also it's like if you kept going around people and nobody talked to you, and you go to a party and nobody talked to you, and you go to family gatherings and nobody talked to you, how would you feel?
Paranoid and pissed off.
And over time, you're constantly trying to get somebody's attention and nobody pays attention to you. So turning towards them, lowering your barriers. I mean, sometimes the communication is simply, they want to say thank you. And we create all these things in our head about what it is, what it means, what you don't want to deal with. And so, we're constantly pushing it away, but a lot of it is to contribute. Some of it is also to help them move on because they might not know. And we have that very simple clearing statement that allows them to make a different choice.
I want to share one other thing. I have a friend whose mother-in-law has been not very much in her body for a long time and reluctant to leave her body. But she just let me know earlier today that things are shifting a bunch. And I sat and worked saying hello to her and giving her energetic healing. And I want to say because, but I don't need to justify it. So I actually used the clearing statement on her as I would with an entity for who are you before this lifetime and that part, and what will you be in the future. And I felt her do that shift that I felt with beings that like are out of present time because I haven't had a body for a really long time. But I felt that same kind of shift with her of like recognition, like a different kind of recognition that she could move on. So I just wanted to tell you that was pretty cool. And she's
cool.
Yeah.
I mean, our being never dies. It's only the body that does. So giving somebody the choice to recognize that they can heal the body, choose a different body, express themselves in another way. Maybe they don't desire to be in a body. And, any choice is valid. It's not right or wrong. So there's a lot of beings that hang out in that spirit realm that don't actually come back into bodies. And, maybe some of them really enjoy scaring people. It's like, think about Halloween when you go, boo, they probably enjoy it. I think one of the greatest gifts, though, is helping people transition, because there's the fear of, you don't know what's after this, so you don't want to let go of this because you know this life, but you don't know what's next. And when you can be this different energy and you can facilitate them through, who are you before this, who are you before this, it starts to give them a sense of, oh, like this life isn't it. We get diluted because this reality is so linear and hypnotic. You get sucked in, but this isn't it. There's so much more, and all you have to do is go outside of the cities into nature and start to perceive all these different energies and all these different things that you forget about when you're in and around a lot of people with a lot of thinking and a lot of analyzing and all of that stuff. So there is a lot to the Talk to the Entities curriculum. One of the things that surprised me about it is how much it builds your awareness of things that are tangible in this reality as well as the unseen. Because, people will say something like, how are you? I'm fine. How are you? And you listen to the words, but you're also aware of the energy, and you're also aware of their thoughts, and you're also aware of their bodies, and you get all this download. But if you just listen to the words and pay attention to that, you're not going to acknowledge how much your body is picking up of everything that's going on for them. And you may think that's yours. And so building your awareness with things that you can't see, like entities, most people can't see them, and that's fine. But you can perceive them and you can know. And building your awareness with that helps you to have your awareness with people that you do see. And you can perceive all the stuff that is normally not talked about and not be at the effect of it. You can know when people are lying to you. You can know when they're trying to swindle you. You can know when they're trying to fluff your aura and just make you feel good, but just take your money. But you can also know what's actually true. And when you get to that level of awareness of things that are unseen and that are unspoken, it expands your receiving, it expands your perceiving, it expands your being. It expands your knowing. And then from there, who knows what's possible? Anything's possible. What else can I tell you?
There was a lot in that. It was very understanding that you can not only so it was very interesting because I have done this course before and I recommend it to everybody. It is mind-blowing and fantastic tools, and I've done it more than once. I've done it about 5 times, and it is really, really contributes every single time. But the thing that you just told me then, or they mentioned then, was perceiving other people's entities aren't necessarily just dead people without bodies. It's interesting that I've never really seen the entity of the person standing in front of me and all of them. And the way you've just described feeling their body is a conversation I had with someone the other day where I stood there and I felt her heart, because I know she has heart issues and she has a heart palpitation thing. And when she left the room, I actually felt this my heart started going weird, and it was very interesting. And I knew that I was perceiving energies in the room, and I used these tools that I've learned from these classes, and being able to acknowledge it and just made it really easier for me to be in the room or be in that space, and cleared the energy that was there. Just even not having to do anything really, is it? It's just an awareness, and just acknowledging that it's an awareness is how simple it can be. But so thank you, Julie, for everything that you are, and I'm grateful for these classes that you create.
Cool,
and I
thanks.
recommend it for everyone to play with it. It's fun. It is weirdly fun.
That was the thing I was going to say. It's like this is not a
No.
scary or woo-woo class.
No.
It's very practical and it's really fun. And most people increase their ability to receive, which means more money, more friends, more possibilities, more of whatever it is that you're asking for. So don't take it if you want to stay the same. And don't take it if you want to stay pathetic and make ghosts bigger than you and more powerful than you. Anyway.
I look forward to the day when my daughter chooses something like this.
Yeah. So I do have a Talk to the Entities online coming up. And one of the things that I love about this class is that you can do it in these small chunks, and it allows you to incorporate it. So it's like 2.5 hours a day. And we're doing it online. You get all the recordings and you get the manual, and the manual is like gold. There's stuff in there that will facilitate things for you that you don't even know to ask for yet, but it's worth the price just to get the manual. And then the rest of it is icing.
I have my chart laminated on my fridge ready to use, and anytime I feel I am having a difficult time, or just something pops up and I realize, oh, there's an entity, I grab my chart and I use it. So it's really is a great manual, and I'm referring to it all the time. So thank you.
Awesome. Yay. Any other questions? This is just going to be a quickie. Thank you so much, all of you, for showing up. Thank you for those of you watching in the future. And what would it add to your life to include all beings in your awareness? I wonder. Let's see. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.